Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of mine. This video is a personal video of mine where I share simply my thoughts on Donald Trump, his recent victory, and the re-election as a president of the United States. So, if you didn't gather by now, I tend to be rather pro-Trump. When I made the video for whom to vote on my main channel, Bible Illustrated, I tried to keep that video relatively neutral, even though, and I tried, to not even give subtle hints for whom I would have voted if I were, an American citizen, or if I weren't, but were simply present there because from what I could gather, a lot of people could vote without presenting any sort of ID. So, I mean, that would make me eligible to vote. So, however, I did make a live stream where I sort of followed the first presidential debate, where I was really against Biden. And a lot of my vitriol came directly against Biden, mostly because he was pro-land invasion of Serbia in, for example, 99 or some couple of years earlier than that, and that would be absolutely devastating for my country, for my homeland, notwithstanding the depleted uranium we were constantly showered with. So I was mostly anti-Biden. However, as my thoughts developed on the whole situation, I realized that I'm not merely anti-Biden, but I'm also very much pro-Trump. Before I start this video, I just want to share a couple of caveats. First of all, if you are my subscriber, or somebody who follows me online or something, or even if we know each other in person, if you're pro Kamala, I don't mind it. Like, vote whoever your conscience tells you to vote. I'm not this diehard Trump fan, never was. All of you are free to comment, to shoot down my arguments. This isn't something I'm particularly attached to. Princes of men come and go, the Lord remains forever. Put not your trusts in the princes or princesses of men. So it's literally whatever. This is a low tier interest of mine, but one that I found very entertaining. So that is the whole reason I'm essentially making this video. But I'm also making this video because if you're surprised at Trump's victory, I suggest you give this video a listen or a watch, but there won't be anything on the screen, so you can freely just listen to it, because it might give you an insight at why Trump has won, and by extension why Kamala or Jill Stein haven't. Generally, I would consider a little bit of a poor taste for a content creator to share their political opinions and so on, but because we are currently in a climate where everybody's sort of doing it, why not me as well? And yeah, in the case you're wondering, yes, I did make notes for this video, which means that I'm very opinionated on it, despite, again, not really being with my full heart into it. Also, before we start, somebody might say, well, you're a Serb. And I am, and I can make video commentary on anything. Especially, again, because Biden isn't some sort of being in a vacuum. And he does influence, and Trump influences, and Kamala influences by ripples and butterfly effects what happens here. Of course, I do not pretend that I'm going to change or move the needle or something, but I do still have my opinions, and I'm sharing them, and you do what you want with them. Don't even listen to them if you don't want to, ultimately, Okay. So the first part of this video is the reasons why me personally, why I should hate Trump. First, the major ones are the allegations of sexual misconduct, and from what I could read in my 2-minute wiki search, he was essentially convicted for practically raping a woman, and he has a legal remedy pending. He has utilized a counterclaim, However, in the case you didn't know, I finished law faculty here in Serbia. The woman who sued him did so long after the statute of limitations have expired. I know that people hate when it runs out, but there is a very good reason why it tends to run out. It's simply because it makes it nigh impossible to prove or disprove that any sort of crime for which the statute has run out, practically impossible to prove. And that is why it's utilized. The very fact that in New York you could file a lawsuit with the statute of limitation expired, for me is shocking. And I must say, I have noticed this pattern in American politics. Some guy tries to run for some office, and I've seen this 2 times for, one was for Donald Trump, the second was for the judge Clarence Owens, and the third one was for a Democrat. It's the same exact pattern. Some guy runs for this very high-ranking office. This woman suddenly remembers that she was raped or, molested or something, or abused 30 plus years prior, generally like in college years, not necessarily. Of course, we are all prone to believe alleged victims of rape, and it soils the candidate's reputation. I will be honest that I find this tad sketchy and fishy, however, because in this case the court has accepted the fact that it is likely that there was practically a rape. I will simply go with the assumption that that is true. So that would make Trump a really horrible person. However, I would still vote for him, and I will explain very soon why, but I'll simply put it here. It's because of his abortion policies. Everyone who moves the needle, away from abortion would get my vote, unless they're so extremely, unless their other policies are so extremely damaging. That would be my first criterion, and for the most part, the sole criterion. Like, I wish I could afford the luxury that everybody's pro-life, so I can vote for the better person. And honestly, if Trump is a rapist, well, I don't know. I simply feel that then Kamala would be, on a personal level, a better person. But then again, she's pro-baby murder, so weigh that. Trump lies, very often, but he does not lie, or does not tend to lie like a politician. It is given that politicians lie. However, in American politics, from what I have noticed, they sort of tend to evade, dodge, use half-truths, use technical truths, and so on. However, Trump uses exaggerations, hyperboles. He does not lie as a politician. He lies like a showman, a businessman, and used car salesman. That's what I find annoying with him. Even though outside of that, I found him very charming, entertaining, relatable in those sorts of ways, which is again a plus. But lying again is a major minus. And finally, Trump essentially convinced Israel to accept the independence of Kosovo, even if Israel was one of the very few big players to resist the independence of Kosovo for a long time. And I know a bishop who has strong ties with Israel, and they worked really hard to maintain that, and Trump simply destroyed that. However, again, this is politics, this is geopolitics. I would still personally give preference to the candidate who opposes abortion, who essentially opposes baby murder. And again, I'm a Serb, so what he does to Serbia, if I were American, would not count as much, but if I were a Serb-American, well, you know, I would weigh my choices. Now, I'll go for the reasons why I do consider myself essentially pro-Trump. This is the easy one. He started no wars, you know. The sole thing I remember he did was that he killed this Iranian general with a drone strike, and only like, I don't know, that general and 2 members of his security detail got killed in that assault, and that's it. That's the sole thing I remember he did. Obama essentially got a Nobel Prize for, I don't know, being black, and then suddenly he devastated the entirety of Libya, you know. And he's this guy who is all praise, but he's simply charismatic, he's soft-spoken, he does that even though he's essentially what I consider, simply put, a war criminal, you know. But then again, I'm in Serbia, we have, you know, war criminals for export here. The second reason I like Trump is the Happy Birthday Mary moment, where it was the solemnity of the Most Holy Mary, Mother of God in the Catholic Church, and Trump simply posted a tweet saying, Happy Birthday Mary. I must say, I really love the laid-back attitude of that tweet, like, Happy Birthday Mary, you know, that's it. Like, no, hail, O star of the ocean, no, the burning bush upon whom Moses gazed in astonishment. No, just Happy Birthday Mary, you know. I'll be honest, I wouldn't be surprised, and I'm not saying I speak for her, but I wouldn't be surprised if she found that directedness very charming and refreshing, you know, for a change. In fact, if you would have like these Mary praying evangelicals, I wouldn't be surprised if they had that sort of laid-back attitude with praying to the saints, you know. Again, what I said in my For Whom to Vote video, religious practices by politicians tends to be very performative. However, in America, where everybody's so divided, it can also put away a lot of your voters. So it's a calculated risk, and in this particular case, I don't mind it. You know, for me it's fine. And he also posted for All Saints Day, so for me that's fine. Moving on. Again, he is the most pro-life president I've seen so far in American politics, but also in general. I'll be honest, I don't know any country in the world that like forbids abortion. People, you know, in the United States, you know, the pro-lifers often whine how the Lord will deal with them because of the abortions taking place in the country. But I have to say that I think that the United States is the sole country in the world where this is on a political ballot. And if something will draw blessing to the United States, it's this, that you're even discussing it, much less sort of limiting it. I honestly believe that you cannot be a Christian and pro-choice. You simply cannot, you must not. Because then, for the Lord, you will be a hypocrite. Because I will quote Father George, I forgot his last name, I apologize, from Twitter. For us, Christians, abortion is a Christological matter. It's not simply something that the Lord forbade and we can't do it. No. The Gospel says that when Mary met Elizabeth, that the child in Elizabeth's womb rejoiced at the approach of the Mother of God and of our Christ. So it isn't an option. Otherwise, the Annunciation isn't the beginning of Incarnation, but Christmas. And we all know from 2000 years of Christian theology that's simply not true. Incarnation begins at the Annunciation, when Christ descends and the Most Holy Mother of God becomes pregnant. That is when it all begins. And that is why absolutely no Christian should ever support a pro-choice candidate if there are other options. And the sole exception to this, I believe, if the other candidate, the pro-life candidate, is so inexplicably horrible that you think, honestly think that choosing a pro-choice candidate would be a lesser evil. So that killing children would be a lesser evil than what the pro-life candidate does. But I don't think that is the case here. For the illegal immigration, I'm constantly dumbfounded by the approach to this issue. Illegal immigration is illegal, and it's illegal for a lot of reasons, because it disrupts life in a country. You need to have people who know how to speak the language, who know how to assimilate with the local culture, and so on. That does not mean that they necessarily deny their identity, but that they can work with the existing structures in one country. But if they don't know the language, if they have these weird customs that are totally alien to the original country, you will have problems. And we have seen this play out in Europe, in the United States, and so on and so forth. I keep saying, and this is just, I apologize, my throat is sort of sore. I keep saying it, that a country does not have an obligation to make life easier for people outside of it. It does have an obligation before God not to make it more difficult, And simply, you can't enter a country because go through the regular, venues, and if you get allowed, whoop-de-doo, great, but if you don't, sorry, you don't get to enter. It's that simple. So Trump being against illegal immigration, it's simply, what I'm hearing is Trump is being pro-rule of law. If the Democrats were so pro, illegal immigration, then just change the law, make immigration easier, and so on. Moving on, one of the major reasons I like Trump is because the entire media machinery and practically all of entertainment industry were against him. I will simply talk about Elon Musk here. Generally, I find shilling by celebrities for a candidate tad distasteful. But the way Elon did it, I found really distasteful. I would have found really distasteful, but I don't. Why? It's simple. We know that all of these platforms, search engines, social networks, all of them tampered with the algorithms to promote the Democratic candidate. And you could easily search and see there are videos of this. In that case, I really don't mind this one media mogul, essentially, social media mogul, shilling for a candidate, because at least a little bit it evens out the odds. However, back to the media machinery. One of my favorite things I have ever seen, on occasion I go to BBC and CNN simply to check out on the world news. I know that they're very biased. I don't go there to get the unbiased news, but there was an article, and I hope I remember to link it in the description of this video, on CNN. Iranian from Tehran. I like Trump. Like, guys, come on. It's that kind of thing that makes me like, I might just a little bit go towards Trump for this, because you're really scraping at the bottom of the barrel. That's when it comes to media. Then we have the celebrities. The thing here is that a lot of people wrongly think that a lot of fans of celebrities will gobble up everything that a celebrity does, sells, or orders people to do, and that couldn't be more wrong. Let me give you an example. Let's have a person that I'm a fan of. For example, Sophie Ellis-Bextor. She's a singer from the UK. I like her a lot. I don't think she said anything as regards to the elections, but if she said something along the lines of vote for Kamala, you know, my first and practically sole reaction to that would be a bit of a disappointment at Sophie, not me endorsing, Kamala, you know. And I think that a lot of people feel that when it comes to celebrities, by the way, I'm completely aware of the irony that I'm doing the same thing, but I'm not telling you sort of to vote for Trump. I'm just sharing my own personal story. There's irony there. And maybe I'm simply a hypocrite, you know. That's one thing. It's essentially this, you know, ditzy approach to celebrities, like, oh, they'll gobble up everything. No, they won't gobble up everything. And another thing, I think there's this major distrust at celebrities because all of the Diddy allegations. You have to wonder, like, for all of the celebrities, are they the victims, or are they the predators, or are they both? You know, at one point, Hollywood essentially, it was always Sodom and Gomorrah, but now it's pretty much out in the open just how much of a Sodom and Gomorrah it is. And you know, I don't think that the Lord has placed a rainbow after, you know, nuking those two cities. I wouldn't live close to New York, you know. It's just so horribly evil, you know. Again, the reason why I shouldn't like Trump, again, Epstein, fair enough. That is a great argument against him. But again, remember the babies, that he is not so much for killing children. So for me, that tips the scale. One thing I really dislike is people acting like it's that this is the Trump's first term. No, he will not force any pregnancies. No, he won't, do horrible things. He'll separate the families of the immigrants. Again, they're breaking the law. Okay? You know, and of course there should be some humanity in treating these people. But again, if you break the law, you need to, there needs to be some kind of sanction, some kind of penalty. When it comes to people whining about, as if this is not Trump's first term, I want to paraphrase two tweets. I won't give you the usernames because I don't want anyone to go after these people. They're sort of saying the same thing, but there are some differences. First one is, and I'm just paraphrasing this, I don't have it printed it out. The first one is essentially saying, I can't believe you guys are weighing the price of the eggs. And by the way, this is the trans person talking. I can't believe you guys are weighing the price of the eggs. Well, I might not be considered a human being tomorrow. That's one. And the second, it's crazy how many people will opt for gas prices as opposed for the rights of their wives and daughters. Okay, let me address the first issue. These two are sort of follow the same pattern. How dare they vote for something that gives them personal gain? How dare they not vote for me or for some abstract other group? But there are some specificities to this. I will address the common issues here. The absolute majority of people will vote for something that benefits them as opposed to some abstract group, especially if that abstract group is some tiny small minority like trans people or the entire LGBTQ community. And the second, they will vote for impending personal gain as opposed to something that might not happen in the near future, like their daughter getting pregnant and so on and so forth. I will address the first tweet first, the trans person saying that I may not be human being tomorrow. In the practically everybody considers you a human being. You won't be denied your humanity, your humanhood, you know. So that simply won't happen. Of course, there might be, you know, issues of gender and sex, and that's an entirely different. But you won't be like considered a non-human, and that is precisely what generally the Democrats are doing with the babies, you know, with unborn children. They're not human. They're dehumanizing them. So, am I supposed to vote for the candidate that will affirm your humanity, and both of them would, but your candidate directly denies the humanity of unborn children? They even had the Planned Parenthood clinic, slaughterhouse in front of their venues. That's the first tweet. The second tweet was, how dare they opt for like gas prices as opposed to rights of their daughters and wives. Do you hear yourself, what you're saying? What you're essentially saying is, I can't believe that so many people would choose lower gas prices over the right of my daughter to kill my grandchildren. Are you that insane? Are you that deranged? What are you saying? Or to kill your own children, because a woman can simply go and abort their, you know, my child, somebody else's child. I know such cases. You know, do you guys think true when you say things like that? Of course, you don't think that they're humans anyway, but then again, there's that nasty Nazi denial humanity. You know, it's a problem. It's a huge problem. And I want to reference the Handmaid's Tale. For the longest time, and the video is on this channel, I think it's called Thoughts on the Handmaid's Tale. For the longest time, I've defended the book and the author, Margaret Atwood. I haven't seen the show. From what I've seen, it's much more woke than the book. The book isn't woke because it deals with a sect that's this extremist Christianity attached cult that only takes a couple of very surface teachings from Christianity. It's not Christian at its core at all. And Margaret Atwood even emphasizes how this cult is essentially persecuting mainstream Christians. However, my good graces have been spent, because she did retweet some lady dressed up in the handmaid costume voting, and she said something like, that's the spirit. She was very supportive, which I found very disappointing, because what Margaret does not understand is that she's essentially supporting the extremism of the opposite kind she described in the book. There are two kinds of extremisms here. One is that a woman is raped and forced to give birth to a child. The other one is the complete liberty of women to kill their unborn children. Those are two extremes. ContraPoints, in one of her videos, parodied Dave Rubin by saying, well, you're not for gays and trans people to be killed. You are very much for them to bite the edge of the pavement and then bashing their skull. I guess I'm centrist, somewhere in between. That is essentially what we're talking about here. The position that you will be raped and forced to bear children, which no candidate, goes for, and the other, which half of the US actually wants, is to kill unborn children. So I think that is why I'm more pro-Trump. I do completely understand if people are very much against him, hate him. I do understand that. Here I also wrote down January the 6th. I simply think he could have handled that better, but no real opinion there. However, I want to talk about the unseen heroes. Biden's PR team. Those people suffered so much in these, 4 years. They're the unsung veterans. I wrote a tweet essentially saying that the PR team was this morning, it is over. The nightmare is finished, but not before. Biden essentially gave the killing blow to Kamala by saying that Trump's followers are garbage. Bye.